It's hello again from Mr.E. Question 3 is one of the trickiest questions in paper 1. It asks you to focus on the whole text, and you need to write about how the writer uses structure to achieve effects. And you should be spending no more than 10 minutes on it. So what's that mean old examiner actually going to be looking for? Well, they've got their posh way of saying it on that scheme, but let's have a look at the lowdown in our language. Firstly, you need to show you understand what a structural feature actually is. Then, you need to show you realise what specific structural features actually do. You also need to find examples of a range of structural features. Finally, you need to show that you can use the correct specific terms when you're writing about, you've guessed it, structural features. We've guessed that this is about structural features, but what exactly are they? Well, firstly, you can get whole text features. For example, you can look at the impact of the opening, you can look at the impact of the ending, and you can also look at links between the two. You could also look at changes of focus, topic, or setting. Another whole text feature is the juxtaposition, which means contrast, of ideas and images, which means hinting at something that's going to happen later on. A second type of structural feature is paragraphing for effect. One way in which you can do this is to write about the links between paragraphs. You might also spot and write about a flashback going on in the extract. Another thing you can look out for is a short single sentence or single word paragraph which is used to create an effect on the reader. And finally, you can write about how sentences work together within paragraphs. So, a series of short, blunt sentences can create breathlessness or tension, whereas longer sentences create a sense of reflection. So we'll have a look now at an example of the question, remembering that we should spend no more than about 10 minutes on this. The question usually gives you 3 bullet points. So try and write 3 paragraphs, one based around each bullet point. The first bullet point reads what the writer focuses your attention on at the beginning. Now we can see here that what's going on is a juxtaposition of moods, the nervous character and the threat of murder against the holiday-like atmosphere in the city. Our second bullet point reads how and why the writer changes his focus as the source develops. So what you can do is scan through the paragraphs for the focus areas of each. Here they are. Now if we quickly look at these, we can see that there are some patterns. Firstly, some of the paragraphs seem to be about describing a wider picture, whereas other paragraphs seem to be about the present moment and Hale's movements. We might look at how the sentences are working together. And one thing we notice is that paragraph 7 consists of a series of very long sentences that give a sense of time passing very slowly. So now you've made these observations, it's time to write up your 3-paragraph answer. In the first 2 paragraphs, the writer juxtaposes the cynical and nervous Hale against the backdrop of a glittering Brighton that sparkled. This dichotomy highlights Hale's anxiety further and creates a sense of unease for the reader. Furthermore, Green frequently switches focus in his paragraphs, moving between Hale's duty, where he has to stick closely to his programme, and wider, more descriptive paragraphs that paint pictures of the watercolour city and determined crowd. This delays the inevitable return to the early reference of murder. Finally, a succession of 3 long complex sentences in paragraph 7 describing the uncoiled crowds creates a sense of Hale's time dragging amidst the determined gaiety. So why would this answer get high marks? Firstly, look at those quotations blended into discussion. Also, uses some nice discourse markers in paragraphs 2 and 3. And finally, the focus all the time is on the writer's intended effect on the reader. Cracking job.
See you next time for more great English hacks.